I used to be obsessed with money. Not in the way most people are, where you want to make more and more. No, I was obsessed with having enough. And no matter how much I saved, it never felt like enough. That was until I found a 25 trick. Simple, small, and completely counterintuitive. But it stopped me from overthinking money. And here's the kicker, it worked. Now, I'm not talking about some secret investment or life-changing side hustle. No, it's something far simpler. And if you give it just a few minutes, you might walk away with the same peace of mind I did. Here's the truth, most of us aren't stressed about money because we don't have enough of it. We're stressed because we don't know what enough really means. The constant race to save more, hoard more, or invest more. It becomes a never-ending cycle. We're told that the secret to financial peace is making more than you need so you can save, invest, and grow. But nobody really explains the moment when that stops working, or rather, the moment when you don't need to make more. So how did I break free from that cycle? I'll tell you exactly how. The trick is this: I decided to track my expenses. Not just my regular monthly expenses, but everything, every latte, every subscription, every little impulse buy. But here's where it gets interesting. I didn't categorize these expenses. I didn't obsess over which category my spending fell into: food, entertainment, bills. Instead, I asked myself a simple question: does this spending align with my values? For example, that $4 coffee I bought every morning, it didn't align. I wasn't buying it for the experience or even because I liked the taste. I was buying out of habit, so I cut it out. 4 a day isn't much, right? But over a month, that adds up to over 100. Over a year, that's more than 1,200. At the time, 1,200 felt huge. But the real change came when I stopped seeing the money I spent in terms of dollars and started seeing it in terms of value. What did I get for that money? Was it really worth it? So I set up this 25 rule. Every time I spent money, I asked myself, is this worth the 25 to me? Not in the sense of can I afford it? Or do I need it right now? But is this something I genuinely value enough to spend 25 on? If the answer was no, I cut it out. That's how I stopped overthinking money. Now, here's where the trick gets a little uncomfortable. You see, everything costs more than we think. You probably don't think 25 is a lot of money, but let's run the math. The average American spends around $100 to $500 a year on impulse buys. Things like snacks, unplanned shopping trips, or that extra subscription you forgot to cancel. That's just impulse spending. But what about the larger expenses? The ones we don't pay attention to until we get the bill. The forgotten ones, like automatic subscriptions or lifestyle inflation. Those little luxuries, that extra gym membership, the streaming service you barely use, or the unnecessary ad on when you buy something online, they all add up. Let's do a quick calculation. If you're spending a 25 here and there, like on extra takeout impulse shopping or non-essential subscriptions, it may not seem like much. But if you don't account for it, that's over $60 a year. For some, that's a vacation. For others, it's paying off debt. Here's the irony: we don't consider these expenses as real money, but they are. And what's worse, we're so conditioned to feel like it's only 25 and 5 that we lose sight of the bigger picture. This 25 trick isn't revolutionary. In fact, it's so simple that it's easy to overlook. But here's where it gets frustrating: the financial advice you hear everywhere else rarely acknowledges this. Instead, we get bombarded with ideas about passive income, stock market magic, or ways to get rich quick. These are all fine, but they're not addressing the deeper issue. Most people's financial problems don't come from a lack of high-paying opportunities. They come from the lack of understanding their own spending habits and value systems. When was the last time someone told you, hey, you don't need to make more money, you need to stop overspending on things that aren't helping you? That's the uncomfortable truth no one talks about. But the truth is this: our obsession with making more often prevents us from realizing that we might already have everything we need if we just look at what we're spending it on. This isn't about cutting out all the fun or living miserably. It's about making sure that what you're spending is aligned with your real priorities, the things that actually matter. When you add everything up, here's what happens. You realize that the so-called luxuries you're indulging in aren't really luxuries at all. They're distractions. Every time I spent money mindlessly, I was robbing myself of the things I truly valued. The 25 rule helped me realize that I didn't need more stuff or experiences, I needed clarity. Take another look at that 25. If you save it every day for a year, that's 9 times 125. Not only is that enough to pay off some debt or boost your emergency fund, but it also means you can reallocate that money towards your true priorities, whether it's building a business, saving for a home, or just having more peace of mind. But here's the bigger question. What happens when we start asking these 25 questions in every area of our life, in our work, in our relationships, in the way we view success? What happens when we stop obsessing over making more money and instead start obsessing over the quality of how we spend it? That's where the real freedom lies. It's not about endless hustle or stacking more bills. It's about becoming conscious of how we choose to use what we already have. I'm not saying this a 25 trick is the ultimate solution to every financial problem. But the question it forces you to ask is bigger than money. It's about understanding where your time, your energy, and your money are truly going. And once you've asked that question, you can't unsee it. So what will you do with the 25 you've been spending without thinking? Maybe that's a question worth pondering for a while.